Hello, everyone. We are streaming live on Rumble and YouTube. This is Owl Freedom Teachings. This is the 243rd conversation and program and podcast we have for you. Me and Blue Heron Women, me, Julian Katari, and Blue Heron Women here get together every week and talk about an investigation that is done for Owl Freedom Teachings regarding a specific topic or a set of topics. For this week, we're seeing your spine needs the floor, has to do with health, with wellness, with holistic wellness, and a whole bunch of things that we've been seeing on these programs where we discover things that are just outside of the mainstream bubble.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we explore. We like to go out where few people dare to go into. That's where we go and explore these topics. And we might get to another topic, maybe the soap. Plant soap?
Not
You
tonight.
mentioned last week?
We're going to talk about after your spine needs the floor. We're going to go into the wage prison, and then we're going to talk again about how the vast field of love, the oneness, consolidates and concentrates and crystallizes into us.
Okay, so that has a lot to do with the freedom and sovereignty. So welcome everyone to this conversation.
Yeah.
And to those topics. So let's get started with the spine. So we need to be laying on the ground. We need to sleep on the ground. What is this spine on the floor about?
Well, this talks about 5 minutes, but the Japanese have been sleeping, and Japanese and Koreans have been sleeping on futon and tatami mats on the floor for centuries, and they have far less health problems than we do.
Okay.
So, yes, ultimately, we need to get off our bed, but that's not what this is about tonight.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay.
You've been sitting for hours, typically, right? Your spine has been compressed under 900 to 1400 newtons. I'm not sure what that measurement is, but since Isaac Newton talked about gravity, it's got some gravitational force, which is 30 to 100% more newtons than standing.
Okay.
So sitting compresses your spine, your discs tremendously. Your pelvis tilted posteriorly, the lumbar curve in your back flattened, and the compressive load on your lumbar discs exceeded what standing produces. So every hour at a desk compresses the spine more than every hour on your feet. And lying on a hard floor drops that force to 250 newtons within seconds.
Okay.
Your spine in a supine position, on a rigid position, supine means on your back, is as close to unloaded as the human body gets while still on Earth. The only way our spine can be more unloaded is if we go into space with but then the rest of our bones lose, right?
So to say that the spine needs the floor is a way to say that the spine needs gravity. The body needs gravity.
Well, the spine needs a rigid surface.
Okay.
It's not gravity, because the gravity of sitting is compressing it.
Okay.
It needs to be unloaded.
Okay.
That's what it needs. So transition from sitting to lying on a hard, rigid surface is the single largest compression reduction available without leaving the planet in a spaceship. The floor does something the bed cannot, because the surface matters as much as the position. A mattress deforms around our bodies. It creates a mold that follows our contours, and it distributes pressure based on body weight. The heaviest parts, which are the pelvis and the shoulders, sink the deepest. And the largest spots, which are the lumbar spine and the neck, are supported the least. So the result is an uneven spinal alignment, and that perpetuates postural asymmetries rather than correcting them. So a hard floor does not deform to our body. It makes our body conform to the floor. or
Okay.
the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the contact then is uniform across the entire posterior surface from the occiput right back here to our heels and our calves.
Mm-hmm.
So every pressure sensing mechanoreceptor along the somatosensory cortex, the homunculus, then receives a complete body map. And this uniform proprioceptive input is what the floor provides that the mattress can't.
Okay.
The somatosensory cortex, or the homunculus, what we've shown before,
Yeah, we talked about that before.
uses the uniform contact surface as a calibration reference. It compares the body's position against the absolute reference of that hard surface. And muscular tension asymmetries become palpable. In a neutral alignment position, both shoulder blades should rest against the floor with equal contact, pressure, and so should our pelvis, our legs, our heels, everything. Everything should be normal or right, it's the same. So the floor sustained contact pressure releases muscle blockages then and fascial blockages. It's not muscle blockages, it's always fascia.
Okay.
So the first 2 minutes on the floor might feel like a diagnostic test because the body's asymmetries now present themselves through the discomfort. And there's a mechanism at the top of the spine that nobody talks about that produces immediate recognizable relief. When we lay on a hard floor without a pillow, the base of the skull contacts the floor directly, and the muscles here, these four muscles right at the base of our skull, are the most proprioceptively loaded muscles in the body. And they are chronically contracted in everyone who looks at a computer screen or a phone screen. They fire continuously to stabilize the head in the forward position that the desk work and phone demand. The hard floor provides direct pressure into those muscles that no pillow or mattress can, and the rigid surface compresses the attachment points, and the muscles then release their chronic tension under the sustained pressure. The floor provides a different service to the discs, cushions between our vertebrae, right, than walking does, and that is sustained unloading. So 5 minutes on the floor at 3 p.m. reduces the compressive load. The discs have been losing fluid steadily since wake up, and they begin to rehydrate the moment the body contacts the floor. 5 minutes provides less recovery than 8 hours of sleep, but the midday recovery window is really beneficial. So now, what the floor does to the muscle that has been pulling on the lumbar spine from below, the psoas muscle, that in animals is called tenderloin that we relish.
Sounds yummy.
Is the deep hip flexor that connects the lumbar spine to our femurs, and it gets chronically shortened by chair sitting. So lying supine on the floor, on our backs on the floor with our legs straight out, places our hips at 0 degrees of flexion. And this is the position at which the psoas is at its maximum length. So it receives a passive stretch under the weight of our extended legs laying on the floor. The psoas attaches directly to the lumbar vertebrae of the L1 to L5. And a chronically shortened psoas pulls the lumbar spine into compressive lordosis that compresses the discs. It deletes the curve, right? That's what lordosis is. So this contributes to the lower back pain that affects 80% of adults by age 60. The floor position simultaneously decompresses the lumbar discs from above and lengthens the psoas muscles from below. And the psoas release follows a specific timeline. During the first minute, the muscles resist the shortened tissue stretching. Then during minutes 2 to 3, it begins yielding, and by 4 minutes, the release is palpable, and the lumbar spine settles closer to the floor as the psoas muscle lengthens. And then the horizontal position on a stable surface produces a measurable parasympathetic transition. Lying supine on your back redistributes blood volume centrally. The receptors in the carotid arteries then detect the increased pressure, and they trigger vagal output that slows the heart rate and reduces the blood pressure. So the postural muscles that maintain upright posture, the anti-gravity muscles of the back, the legs, and the core, all deactivate completely. And the metabolic cost of maintaining posture drops to near zero. The sympathetic motor output that drives these muscles then quiets, and uniform proprioceptive input from the hard surface drives a stable, predictable sensory environment that the nervous system reads as low threat. So 5 minutes on the floor, on the hard floor on your back, is a complete autonomic system reset. Breathing while you're on the floor reveals a mechanical relationship between the surface of the diaphragm and the diaphragm that no seated or mattress position can replicate. Because again, the diaphragm gets shortened and compressed during sitting. On the floor, all the organs in the abdomen settle, right? They drop. And so then the diaphragm can descend fully when we breathe in. Because when we breathe in, that's what belly breathing is. When we're breathing through our belly, we're getting the diaphragm to drop. And when the diaphragm drops during inhalation, the lower ribs expand laterally, and the lumbar spine then presses it slightly into the floor, which provides tactile feedback of the expansion. And that teaches the breathing pattern that the diaphragm was designed to produce. Then there's the sacroiliac joints between the sacrum and the femurs. They receive symmetric loading on a rigid surface that no seated position provides. Chairs load the pelvis asymmetrically through the sit bones, and over the years, the asymmetric loading can produce sacroiliac dysfunction. The floor holds everything with uniform pressure and allows the sacroiliac ligaments to settle into their neutral position. And then there's one last mechanism. The temperature differential between the floor and the body produces a subtle physiological effect. A hard floor is typically 15 to 20 degrees Celsius cooler than the body surface temperature. So the posterior skin then loses heat to the cooler floor cooler floor, and it activates thermal receptors that feed into the vagal pathway, allowing the sacroiliac ligaments to settle into their neutral position and enhance the parasympathetic effect.
Wow.
By reduction of heat. So Japanese and Korean traditions preserve floor-based living long after Western furniture eliminated it. Eating at low tables, sleeping on futons placed on tatami mats, sitting in seiza or cross-legged positions have given them hip fracture rates in older adults that are radically lower than our Western populations. And we've already talked about that, so we're not going to talk about that more.
Okay, yeah.
Now, post-exercise lying on the floor needs specific mention because the timing amplifies every single one of these mechanisms. After a run or walk or a strength session, the muscles are warm, and the metabolic waste products from exercise are circulating, and the autonomic system is in its sympathetic state, exercise sympathetic state, right? So lying on a hard floor for 5 minutes immediately after exercise provides the parasympathetic transition at the exact moment the body needs to shift from exertion to recovery. So 5 minutes of post-exercise floor lying is the highest yield for all of these mechanisms. And this all matters more after age 45 because of 4 age-related changes that compounds the floor's value with every decade.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the disc rehydration capacity diminishes and the overnight recovery, that fully restored disc height at 25 becomes incomplete at age 55. So the midday compression window becomes proportionately more important as the overnight window is becoming less important or less effective.
Mm-hmm.
And the lumbar lordosis from the shortened psoas muscle then causes narrowing of the spinal column, contributing to the lower back pain. Floor lying opens that again. And the autonomic nervous system becomes increasingly sympathetic over the years. So shifting into parasympathetic, the older you get, the more you need to practice it.
Okay.
So for those with severe lumbar lordosis, start out with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor, which allows your lumbar spine to settle flat before gradually extending one leg at a time. But you need to get into that. And now there's a difference between floor lying and stretching. Stretching is active. You assume a position and you hold it. Floor lying is passive. You assume a position and do nothing, which puts you into wu wei. Right? So gravity, body weight, and the rigid surface do the work. The intervention is the absence of effort working through stillness.
Okay.
So your spine needs the floor, and like I told you, the first day I got on the floor for 5 minutes and started resting, and then I felt tired. So I was like, well, it's just about 2:00. It's time for the 20-minute nap window. So I went back to the floor for 20 minutes, and when I got up, I did it with actually a yoga nidra meditation. When I got up, I felt inches taller. It was amazing.
Okay.
So that's my practice now, is 20 minutes of floor lying every day.
Yeah. And I guess many people do that naturally. I mean, it's like almost your body asks for it at some point in the day.
I don't know how many people do that naturally. That's not a natural thing. We all like our beds and our couches too much.
Yeah, well, maybe the people I think of. Okay. Well, I certainly, I always like project myself onto when I think of people. So I like to lie on the ground.
Well, and I'd ultimately like to get off the mattress onto a tatami mat, or a futon and a tatami mat. But we'll see how that progresses.
Yeah, and also a mattress is never, if it's too soft, it's never really good. And I guess for this, also a water mattress would be kind of really bad, right? Yeah, it's so crazy. I think they're so uncomfortable when I once tried it.
Yeah, the
They
water
were,
beds. Yeah,
yeah, the water.
of the 70s. Yeah,
That was crazy. Yeah, yeah. Right now I have a very firm mattress, and it's really wonderful with no springs, and it doesn't move, and even then I like to lay on the ground.
yeah. Well, and the problem with that is, like, I have a very firm mattress that was horrifically uncomfortable. It didn't do anything. It didn't do any of this. It just hurt. And I think the biggest part of that is because it's made of memory foam. It's made of petroleum. So memory foam is petroleum. So it's infusing your body with toxins all night instead of allowing.
Yeah, I still prefer that than the springs, though. You know, the springs, to me, the metal kind of thing mesh underneath you. That was, I don't know. I thought that was worse. And then the ultimate thing that we could ever have is the the foam, the natural tree rubber foam mattress. I've been investigating about that, and they're kind of expensive,
Yeah, I bet.
but that would be the best thing, and I would actually, that's one of like my long-term projects in down at the community in Candelaria. Irimo's like the big nation, right? So the
Okay.
community itself would be Candelaria or Paititi, and there we want to have, grow a lot of these trees and make some foam, tree rubber foam mattresses,
Has
which
no
they already
petroleum.
make them. They're just kind of expensive,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
and
sure.
they wouldn't be petroleum. They would be
Yeah,
all
no
natural
petroleum.
foam.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay. So what else do we
So
have?
let's shift to the wage salary prison, and we're going to be referring to the Bible, a man named King Solomon, who is the wealthiest man in history, according to the Bible, but we're also going to interweave the Incans into this.
Okay.
So King Solomon never worked for money because he understood something that most people spend their lives missing. The Incan emperors also never worked for money. So what is it that they understood? First of all, the Incan emperors didn't even know of money. They had no concept of money.
Yeah.
So since we're referencing King Solomon, who did, what did he understand? That salary or hourly wages, it is not wealth. It's just permission to survive.
Yeah.
We have been taught that salary or hourly wages is ancient, universal, and inevitable. It is not.
Yeah, it's programmed into the subconscious. It's like,
Yes.
what do I do, Mom? We'll get a job.
Yeah. For most of human history, people did not work for wages. They worked the land that they belonged to, and they built trades that they controlled. Salary or hourly wages is a recent invention that is less than 2 centuries old in its current form, and was designed during the Industrial Revolution to turn humans into predictable, replaceable units of production. So here's the question to anyone listening. Do you really want to be a predictable, replaceable unit of production?
Yeah.
Before factories, before time cards, before the concept of trading 40 hours for a fixed sum of money, people understood what Solomon and both the Incans knew. Wealth is not what you earn per hour. Wealth is what you build that works without you. The ancients didn't celebrate the employee. They celebrated the builder, the planter, the craftsman, and so on. They celebrated the strategy of the intention to build something that persists beyond the life of ourselves. This teaches us that poverty does not come from lack of effort. It comes from effort applied to a structure designed to keep us dependent. We've been taught to climb a ladder that has no top. We are told that security comes from loyalty to an employer or a corporation, when history proves that we're discardable the minute the profit line demands it. And so we remain year after year trading irreplaceable hours of our lives for a paycheck that never gives us freedom. And we think we have freedom. Because we get to choose between brands in the supermarket, right? That's not freedom. We are told in the Bible that Jesus said you cannot serve God or love and mammon at the same time. And Christianity has taught us, I learned this growing up, that mammon means money. Mammon isn't money. It's the system of dependence, the structure of compulsion, the idol that demands our time, our family, and our health in exchange for survival. And mammon is the belief that we cannot live without bowing to it. Earning is linear. Building is exponential. When you earn, you trade time for money. 1 40-hour week is one payment. When you stop giving 40 hours, the payment stops. This is a prison with yourself as the warden. Building, however, means generating something that produces value long after the work is done. Solomon and the Incans both built the income or the infrastructure, relationships, and systems that generated wealth. But the Incans did it without money. So why does hard work for wages lead to poverty? Because effort without leverage is just motion. The poor are not lazy. When they're employed, they work harder than the rich. They just work without strategy. They work in someone else's field and wonder why the harvest never comes to them without having to pay for it. Leverage is the principle that separates the slave from the sovereign. Archimedes once said, "Give me a lever long enough and the fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." So Solomon and the Incans knew this in practice. They knew that wealth is not about effort, it's about multiplication. A person who builds a system, who can train others, can produce abundance that exceeds any individual effort, and this is stewardship. They leveraged resources so that wealth flowed. And the Incans, that's what the Incans did. They didn't, if a family came to them and said, "We need help," they didn't say, "We're going to give you potatoes." They said, "Come move in with us so you can learn our system, be part of it. And then you can supply your tribe."
Yeah.
We were told that if we just work hard enough, we will eventually prosper. For us to chase paychecks without building equity, and I'm walking lightly here because I don't really like the language, we'll see our wealth diminish as we work harder. Because equity is a term of the debt prison too. So I didn't know a word to replace it with. So the person who deliberately builds and crafts, that compounds. King Solomon of the Bible was the wealthiest man in human history, and there's another African king that was not in the Bible that was probably the same being. That he absolutely was, and he loved to give away his wealth. So he was far wealthier than Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. He achieved that not through trading his time for money in someone else's field, but by building systems that would work without him. Wealth in the form of money pursued as an end in itself becomes a tyrant. The goal is not to serve money. The goal is to steward resources so that money serves our mission. So Solomon and the Incans built wealth not to hoard it, but to sustain a kingdom of peace and to construct temples that would stand for generations. We cannot serve love or God and remain trapped in a system that sees us as disposable units of production. Solomon refused to trade his life for wages. The Incans didn't, because they didn't have a clue what wages were. They just built, right? He built instead. So creating value is not the same as selling time. When you sell time, you're paid for hours. When you create value, you're paid for results, for solving a problem, for filling a need, for delivery of transformation. And so Solomon did not get paid by the hour. He got paid by the empires he had built. The Incans did not get paid by the hour or the empire they built because they operated without money. Their system was based on the institution of Aini, or reciprocity. Collective labor was the cornerstone for economic productivity and achieving of common prosperity. After all local needs were satisfied, the state apparatus gathered the surplus and allocated it to where it was needed so that no one went without, and they had common prosperity. A man named Benjamin Graham taught a concept of looking for the undervalued things, like finding something discarded or overlooked and figured out how to find its value. He called this the cigar butt approach. Look for the cigar butt, the spent cigar, right? And all of us who work for wages are cigar butts in someone else's empire. We're undervalued, underpaid, and working far below our potential because we have never taken ownership of our worth. And charging $300 an hour for your labor is not taking ownership of your work. You're projecting that onto someone, wanting someone else to validate your work.
Wow, that's amazing way to put it.
You're not a cigar butt, you're a vineyard waiting to be planted, but you have to stop working in someone else's field and start cultivating your own vineyard. Stewardship is the key, and most people think that stewardship means managing money, but stewardship means something far more than that. It means managing relationships and skills and time and so much more. It means treating everything you have been given as a trust from love. Charlie Munger said that big money is not in the buying and selling, it's in the allowing. So wealth does not come from motion. It comes from planting something valuable and protecting it long enough to harvest. And now here is a deeper prison than the wage. It's the psychology of dependence. We've been trained since childhood to seek permission, to ask for approval, to wait for someone to promote us, to validate us, to pay us what we are worth. This is an employee mindset, and it is poison. The employee mindset says I will work hard and eventually someone will notice and reward me. And the same employee mindset says my time is so valuable, I'm going to put $300 an hour on you, and if you can't pay it, you're just not spiritual enough. But I need you to validate my value by paying me $300 an hour.
Yeah.
The builder mindset says I will build a system or the field that everybody cares for everybody, where everybody cares for everybody, and the reward will come in many forms. So King Solomon and the Incas did not wait for permission to build. They built because they understood their authority as stewards of love. Breaking the employee mindset is not a single decision. It's a series of small daily refusals. Refusing any valuation of your time. Refuse to believe that security comes from a corporation. Refuse to trade your calling for convenience, and then start building. So how do we do that? How do we plant our vineyards? Well, we identify one skill or one service that we can offer that solves a problem. And we start small, and we start now. We protect our time, and we give generously. Wealth that is hoarded rots. Wealth that is circulated multiplies. And lastly, we need to learn to trust in the power of love for God. Solomon and the Incans did not build their empires alone, and neither will we. What these both teach us is not about money. It's about the authority, the sovereignty over our decisions, our time, and our future. When you work for someone for wages, that someone else controls your schedule, your time, and your security. When you build a system or something that cares for others and our Mother Earth and our next 7 generations, we reclaim our authority and love, because we were not born to make someone else rich. We were born to be a steward, to multiply our talents and glorify love. So the salary prison has no power over those who understand the wisdom of King Solomon and the Incans. So lots to think about, because the only thing we know is the wage salary prison.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what we need to always be touching on, and invite anyone and everyone to really open that door of, hey, you got to get out of this money system, this wage system, because money is a symbol of transaction, some means of transaction that can exist, and we're going to have to deal with whatever systems are still in place. But are you enslaved by them systems, or are you using them to reach your freedom, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we are doing here. So are we going to see anything else?
Well, we're going to come back to the to this love as God, or the galactic operating dynamic, or the unified field, or the source or spirit. The Hermetic tradition called it the all. Some people call it the one. Science calls it the unified field. So again, we're going to come back to this. How does this vast, limitless God substance that is not a white male being in the sky somewhere, as we've all been taught to believe in Christianity, come to be informed? How does it come to be in us? How does it make us? How does it form us? And the biggest thing, I turn to the I Ching first, but no, the biggest thing is through sacred geometry or patterns. And then by turning to the East, to China, to the I Ching with its 8 circles, as well as to the Kybalion with its Hermetic laws or principles, and then finally science. So why is this so important? Why do I keep coming back to this? Because the body, or the form that we inhabit as manifestations of the one love, the one source, is not merely the body our DNA prescribed. It's the body that our accumulated experiences or consciousness has been sculpting and organizing our biology around in the architecture of our survival. And we need to know it so we can liberate ourselves into a life of thrival instead of survival. And even those who have millions and billions, they're still living in survival mode because they never have enough. Let's go to the present. So God is love, right? God is energy. We've talked about this. God is breath. God is information. God is movement. God is an invisible vital force. In the source, in Wuji, from the Chinese, all is nothingness, empty silence, pure potential. There can be no consciousness because all is whole, and there is no events until there is separation. So the first letter of the alphabet of information or creation is a dot with a circle around it. Because when you can move and create a sphere around a stable center, that underlies everything.
Okay. A dot with a circle.
In Hinduism, that's called the Bindu point.
Okay. So the little dot they put in the middle, between here in the third eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it. Okay.
So only with division or movement is there the beginning of all we know. And with the division or separation or movement, there is consciousness, and nobody knows what the primordial trigger was. Science hasn't proven anything about that. And I'm theorizing or philosophizing that the trigger is desire. Desire of this invisible substance to know itself, to experience itself in as many ways and shapes and forms as possible. So with the desire to know itself, there's a trigger. There's movement and consciousness. So the non-beingness or love or spirit then projected a beam of its consciousness, its awareness, in one direction, and then another, which gives us the 3 axes of space, along with 6 spatial directions. What are the 6 spatial directions? It projected itself to the front. It projected its consciousness in front of it, which mirrored it behind it. To this side, which mirrors that side, or that side, which mirrors this side, or up, which mirrors down, or down, which mirrors up. So this gave from those 3 axes and 6 spatial directions, it formed a hexagram of its consciousness, and now movement is possible in relationship to its space, which gives us, what does the hexagram or the hexagon give us? Snowflakes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Frozen water.
Mm-hmm.
So when you spin an hexagon with intensity, it becomes a perfect sphere. And so love spirit then moved to the edge of the sphere and divided itself. First of all, forming that sphere, which now has a seed, right? This is where we bring in the yin yang.
Mm-hmm.
Seed on each. And then it divided itself. It split itself into two, and then it divided itself, moved to the edge, divided itself, and created another sphere overlapping, and which gives us the Vesica Pisces.
Okay.
So, and with this geometric pattern is a vast amount of information about width, proportion, depth, and geometric information about light. And I gave you a picture of that you could put it on Trello today for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll get that. It'll take me a little bit if you want to keep going.
So, when it divided itself, it split itself into two, then now we have, so with the Vesica Pisces, then we have the first level of divine mind or the psyche. But with that division, we have the principle of polarity and gender of the yin and yang, the Shakti Shiva again, right? So male energy, the yang Shiva energy is focus, movement, and female or yin Shiva is the realm of unbridled possibilities, which affects us from within, whereas Shiva yang, focus movement, affects us from without.
Okay.
So focused male energy takes direct routes from point A to point B, and you have that also with and can be strong as a tank, accomplishing tasks and going where it needs to go with precision and without distractions. So the basic, that's the Fibonacci spiral, using some basic geometry to demonstrate it. And if you don't know the Fibonacci spiral, all I'll say is that it starts at 1 and follows onward forever in a very specific way, and that it is present in all, and it is everywhere. So, as male energy moves through the spiral, it goes from point to point. Yeah, see, that's the Vesica Pisces right there, with all that information in it.
Wow.
Showing you the male energy in the circle.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting.
Okay, so now give us the Fibonacci spiral with the red lines outlining the squares.
The third photo.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get that here. And get an image file, and here we go. It's supposed to be loading.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So as male energy moves through that spiral, it goes from point to point. It does not curve. It goes straight. Oh, that's the female energy. That's not the male energy.
Okay. Would it be this one? No.
Well, it would be that one with the red line around the squares.
Okay, I see which one already. It's coming up. Just a minute. With the squares, here we go. So it outlines the squares.
Yes.
And that's the female.
That's male energy.
That's male. The square is the male, and the curve is the female. Okay, that makes sense.
It goes straight to where it needs to be, whereas female energy goes in that spiral, going in and around and outside all the lines that the male framed her with. Male energy is very linear, analytical, strategic, and practical. However, when it's constricted, it's very blundery. It just blunders. It doesn't know what it's doing, and it's very confrontational. It can't see all sides of a situation, and it's not open to any other possibilities than the one being pursued. So female energy then moves in curves. It doesn't stay in lines.
Which is this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure, formative, nurturing movement expressed as emotion, and it can do anything and go anywhere. But when it's constricted, it will run between emotions, which are moods, and then Zen ideas. So male energy looks at the parts, at the little boxes, and female energies looks at the whole.
Okay.
So all or love or God or spirit is geometric then, and the first foundational shape is the Vesica Pisces. What is male energy doing?
Mm-hmm.
So once it split into two with the seeds, and then divided itself into two spheres.
Mm-hmm.
That gives us the Vesica Pisces. What was that male energy doing? Well, we're at the Fibonacci spiral in that first little box, right? It's creating boxes. It's creating curves. I mean, not curves. It's creating boxes.
Okay. Like here?
So, yeah, right there at that little box. That's where we're at,
Okay.
right? He's framing all of the bits and the ideas and desires of her vast energy to make the net of space-time, which is why we have graph paper today. He's also, from the hexagon, framing her with triangles, which gives us the Star of David, or the six-pointed star, which is the second letter of the alphabet of creation, and was known to the Greeks as the second macrocosmic logos. And incidentally, the Bible says the Spirit of God moved on the face of the waters. So what does this tell us? Now we know why Dr. Masaru Emoto and Veda Austin have been able to delve into the consciousness of water, because it's the second alphabet letter of creation.
Okay.
So first comes consciousness, and then comes water. Now think about it. The upside down star, or the Star of David, the six-pointed Star of David. Humans are not six-pointed stars or five-pointed stars.
Okay.
We have two arms, we have two legs and a head.
Yeah.
We don't have a tail.
Yeah. That's a point.
So every animal has a tail, belongs to that second alphabet creation, which is why the Native Americans say we are the youngest forms of creation. So the Bible philosophy of giving us dominion over everything is just bullshit. We're the youngest forms of creation. Every other form of creation belongs to the level of water, to the logos, the consciousness of water.
Okay. Wow.
Which is still the causal realm. And then we came along. So we are the youngest. So as love, so then to continue, so as love or spirit kept moving to the edge of the new sphere and dividing, with every sphere exactly one radius away from the circle next to it, we get the geometry pattern known as the egg of life. With spheres, 8 spheres of identical size, giving us the octahedron, or the Bhagavad of the I Ching. So male energy continues to move through that egg, through the 8 spheres, and squares it, giving us a cube with its 4 sides to represent the physical realm. And that is the Vitruvian Man of Da Vinci, which has the square inside the circle, with the human inside the square inside the circle, to show us that we are both spirit or love and matter.
Okay.
And that's where I'm going to stop tonight. So again, to ask how this happens, we need to look at the Hermetic principles of the law of correspondence, the vibration, the rhythm.
Okay.
Right?
And is that something we might be looking into soon?
Yeah, we will. I just didn't go into it tonight. And also, in the law of rhythm is the orgasm. Because the cycles are, they're everywhere. They're trigger, release, rest and renewal.
Okay.
And that's the orgasm that we talked about with organ energy from Wilhelm Reich.
Wow. So this is all very profound, and it's just going to leave me thinking about it for a few days. Like this 5-star, 6-star. That's really.
Yeah, it's really profound when you realize that. Yeah.
And this Fibonacci and the squares and the curves. That's really something. I know something that I just put the way you did it. I never heard it before. So this is the amazing things that we get to discover here in our freedom teachings, and we do that every week. And you do all this amazing work to bring all this information and do all this research. And you're already kind of in the flow of, because we all, get connected with, our algorithms. So you get suggested books, you get shown videos, and you're already kind of getting led to these new topics, right? So what's the next week's topic?
Well, and before we go to that, the importance of this again is when we can fully understand this, we can fully understand that we are an expression of the one love. We don't need external authorities. We don't need, right? We don't need to create all these other gods before us and give our power away to them. So that's the biggest reason. That's the foundation of Aloha Aini Dao living.
Is become your sovereign. It's kind of weird because let's just think of a common person, a very, very common person who's very lazy they like authority. I think people like authority because they like to be led, because they're just lazy about thinking for themselves. They rather just be told what to do instead of figuring out what to do.
well, think about the fact that the fathers of the Constitution of America that we so praise, they locked themselves into a closed building and covered in the heat of the summer and covered all the windows so they could frame the Constitution by themselves because they didn't trust the people to know what they wanted.
Yeah. But that's
on one side. But at the same time,
we like the same young fella that wants to, like, at the same time that we don't, or a young fella doesn't want to take charge of himself. They don't want to do things that they're told to do.
Yeah.
Right. And they want to be free, and they don't want to, they don't want to be told what to do. But at the same time, so you guys gotta put that together.
Yeah.
And figure, you just gotta. It's like a muscle. I see it that way. Once you start making strength about like your mental strength, about being sovereign, about thinking on your own, about figuring it out on your own, then you start. It's not hard anymore. You're not. It doesn't make you tired anymore, and you become strong. You become free, and it's just very liberating. A very good place to be. Much better place to be than following orders and being at a job that you hate. Why would you want to be somewhere doing something that you hate doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So next week the first thing we're going to talk about is what our liver should receive every morning.
Okay.
Before coffee.
Okay. Yeah. We kind of covered that last week about not having coffee the first thing.
This goes even deeper into it. This goes even deeper.
Okay. All right. So what does your liver need first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's going to be our only topic now?
No. Oh, no. We'll, I think next we'll also look at how Amish farms run everything without electricity.
Okay.
And we'll either go. We might talk about the Hermetic laws, or we'll go into the animal that, or not the animal, the weed that softens every load of laundry.
Okay. That's good. That softens it, doesn't wash, doesn't. Okay, it's not like soap then.
No, it's what softens it. And since we're big on I mean, because all the softeners you buy from the store are all petroleum based, and they coat everything in your dryer with
I
petroleum.
can't stand fabric softeners. I don't use them ever.
Yeah. But we have a desire to have soft fabrics, and we can do it naturally without petroleum based
Oh,
products.
that's great, and that's people. It's going to be loved by our audience, by our shorts
Yeah.
audience.
So
Okay, so that's for next week, and
yeah,
we'll keep the same time. So anything else? We'll just be closing then, and
yeah.
inviting folks to join the Freedom Warriors, the Freedom Training at Aloha Ainidao Living, the Adultvilles, the different ranches, marcas, the lands that we are going to begin stewarding. You can become one of those folks to be stewarding one of these lands. So you can join us at
Building
alohainidautliving.com.
building our new system.
Mm-hmm.
Because as Buckminster Fuller said, you don't fight the old, you just build a new one that replaces the old. And so it's about damn time we replace the old.
Yeah. And if you want to join us too here on the next live, it's going to be next week. So with that, we wish you waterfalls of blessings. Thank you for being here, and see you next week.